So if your Mustang has the Mach 460 or Mach sound system, then the first thing you're going to want to do is take off this speaker. And you want to just basically take off the cover here. So you want to get a flathead screwdriver, and come over here at the very front angle and pry on it a little bit till it starts to pop off. And you're just basically pulling it straight back towards you. So try to just get behind it. There you go. Okay. So inside here there's a Phillips or cross point screw that we're going to go after. So just a regular screwdriver in here, and take that out by turning it counterclockwise. With that screw removed, you'll be able to lift this assembly out. And now we're going to unplug this connection by lifting up at the top of that connector and then pulling it straight out. Okay, so I was able just to lift the top of that tab there and then pull it out. Now your Mach 460 or Mach tweeter is out of the way, and we'll go onto our door panel here. So what you want to do is reach in here. You can usually just do this by hand. If you have to, get a screwdriver back in there. And we're going to go ahead and just pull this out. Now it does have a clip that goes straight down in there, so as you rotate it out, then you'll want to pull upwards. So as you lift upwards with this, you'll see that the clip goes kind of straight down into there. So you'll want to rotate out and pull up. Now on the back side here, it's 2 more Phillips screws that we'll take out, 1 on each side, and that'll allow the wiring to stay in place and separate this door bezel. Okay, so with these Phillips screws now removed, just slide this whole harness out. Buttons and everything just kind of stay there. So once the switches are detached, there's the mirror control here. You'll just put a screwdriver under here to lift up and then remove that, like so, and just pull it apart. So as you can see, the plug comes off. Set your door pull aside. Next, we're going to go after the screw right here, another cross point or Phillips, and there's actually 2 of them, 1 here and 1 here. So take those out. Now on the front of the door panel you have one of these Christmas tree clips, kind of just a flat piece that you need to get some needle nose pliers behind. It's a good idea to get a rag here too, because you're going to be prying on it, so you don't want it to scratch up your panel. So that's how you just pull that out. Now I'm replacing this door panel with another one here that I got that was in a lot better condition, because my other one was kind of scratched up. But just so you can see what it looks like on the back side, there's all these kind of hook-shaped plastic kind of hook deals, and that's how the door hangs on the panel. So once we're at this point, we can just lift directly up on the door panel. So you want to pop it free on the back and the front and just lift the whole panel up and out of the way. So as you come around here, just start lifting. Okay. Now there is another panel here that you can take off if you pop it out, but it's not very necessary if you're just sliding the door off. But we'll go ahead and just lift this whole panel, and then you have to just slide it forward off of the door handle like that. Now the panel is off the car. Okay, so with the door panel removed, you may have to tear some of this plastic back, but this is where the window motor is. So it's just removing these 8mm bolts. There's 3 of them. Okay, and then popping it off. Now, it does have teeth on here, which is what rolls the window up and down on its track. And so those teeth are locked in a little bit, and so you might have to wiggle a little bit to get it to come out. And there is a little bit of play, enough to move it kind of back and forth to get it to come out here. And then once it's broken through, I found it easiest to come out through the speaker. So there is a hole over here that you may be able to work it back through here. I'm gonna go ahead and just take out these 4 screws here on the speaker to remove the speaker out of the way, and that makes perfect access to come in and grab it. It's also attached here, and so all we're going to do is pull down on this clip right here, and when we pull down on that, we'll be able to unplug it. Okay, so that took some wiggling, but I just pulled down on that tab and pulled that out. That's how it unplugs. Okay, with these 4 screws removed, cross-point screwdriver, now we can just remove the speaker, and you can set it aside. If you want to unplug it, then just pull up on that tab and slide that off. Now we can reach in and we have perfect access to this. Okay, so I'm just removing these 3 bolts. They're 8mm each, and it helps to get a magnet because even when you loosen them up, they kind of stay in there. But if you have a magnet, that's nice. Go ahead and take those 3 out. Okay, so what you're trying to do is basically move the motor, since the teeth are locked in, move it towards you to kind of pry it that way to get the teeth off of the teeth on the window track. So moving it forward and just kind of prying it around. Alright, so out it came. So once again, it's in here kind of like this, and you want to pry it forward to get the teeth off of the track. So pry forward slightly and just kind of walk it on out, and then out through the speaker hole it'll come. Okay, so here's the new motor, and if you want, you can plug it in first just to make sure it's going to work, especially since this is a used part here. Alright, so we're good to go. Now I'm going to have to unplug it so I can feed it through. Okay, now something about these motors is they are side specific. And this is actually my bad motor. And something you can do is kind of knock on them. Even while it's still in the door, you can try that. But kind of knock on them. Sometimes they just need to be moved around. And maybe ultimately it is bad, but this one actually still works. And so before you go buy a new one, maybe try knocking on it, and if it's still not working, pull it out of the door, kind of play around with it. Sometimes they'll come back to life. Very common, happens on my truck too, and sometimes it just needs a little whack, and that might be able to save you some money. But if it eventually is dying, then maybe you want a new one anyway. One thing to note is it is the actual motor part where this arrow's pointing to that it needs to be whacked if you want to try whacking it. So you may need to actually pull it out of the door to gain access to actually hitting it. Hitting the other part of it may not do anything. So maybe you can get by and just give it a whack. It's worked on my truck, it's worked on this car, but it does have to be on that actual motor part. But you can try plugging it in and do that. So anyway, this one's still good. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug this now. Okay, so now installation is just the reverse. We're going to put it in like this into that spot. So we're going to feed it through here. Now there is a bar that goes through here, a track. You want to go behind that with both the wire and the motor. Okay, so here's another different motor. Here's the one I just put back in. So I went through here, I went behind this metal beam, and the trick was kind of to go down and then back up into its place like this. So once you get it up in there, then thread a bolt through the top just to kind of get one of them started, And see, it's still loose, so the teeth can mesh with the rail and everything. And we're gonna go ahead now and just start a second one. Get it started. There we go. Okay, so that's holding it in place, but it's not tightened down all the way yet, because we want to make sure that the teeth for the motor are going into the window track. Okay, so those are pretty well in, and it seems like it's working pretty good. So just make sure that you don't tighten it down to the point where you're smashing the teeth. So we're gonna get these so that they're all nice and snug now. Okay, and it feels like the motor went into the teeth just fine. So we're gonna grab our power wire and feed it back through. We're gonna go ahead and plug it back in. And now we're gonna test and see if the window rolls up and down. Which it does. All right. I'm gonna go ahead now and just tighten this up. All right. Okay. Very good. Okay, so I just put the speaker back in place and put the 4 screws back in there. Okay, now next we hung the door panel just the way that it came off. Make sure you feed the handle through the door panel first, and it has all those tabs that are kind of pointed down like this throughout a bottom row here and some around the top, so just make sure they go into those spots. And that plastic sheeting sometimes gets in the way of those, so you might want to cut it out or just make sure that they're going into that. Then we just hung it onto the window sill here, made sure that this went through, that the door lock, sometimes you have to reach behind there and guide the door lock pin up through the hole here. But now the door panel is back on, our screw is back in here, and I think there's another one in there and there. So we're just putting our cover back in here. Okay, and if you have the Mach 460 sound system, you'll put your speaker back on as it showed in the other part of this video. Otherwise, if you're regular Mustang here, just pop that back on and now you're good to go.